A big welcome to the Nick Elston Show, hosted by inspirational speaker and transformational speaking coach Nick Elston. This show brings you the people who inspire, motivate, educate, and engage in all walks of life, sharing their insights and experiences honestly, unfiltered, and off script. So, without further ado, let's get stuck into today's show.
Hey everyone, a big welcome back to the Nick Elston Show Season 4. Who would have thought it? Episode 1. It's a brand new year, a brand new month, but the same with the cap. It's great to be back for another season. I have some amazing guests lined up, and no one better than this guy to kick off the season, Mr. Stoyan Yankov. Big round of applause to Stoyan.
I guess there's no audience, so I should do it myself.
Yeah. Clapping yourself is massively underrated, especially as we record this first thing in the morning. We want to make sure we get our energy back up again, don't we?
I imagine, thousands and hundreds of thousands of people are kind of clapping right now for Nick Elston Show, ladies and gentlemen.
I like that. That's really cool.
Season 4, man. Come on. This is amazing, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been and it all started like with 2 or 3 months into lockdown here. So there have been positives to all this as well. And actually, one of those positives is meeting your good self. And we met through kind of me joining one of your podcasts, and have kept in touch ever since. And we have a real shared interest in lots of spaces that we both work in, as a non-solution focused working in your world, and you as a solution focused person working in your world. There's a great synergy between what we do, and even just as blokes, to be honest, just we get each other. We got a good vibe with each other, which is really cool. So, brother, tell us about it. Stoyan, tell everybody who you are, what you do, where you're from, what you're about, and that kind of stuff.
Thank you, Nick. It's such an honor being on your show. So my story in a nutshell, wow, where do I start? So basically, I was raised in the beautiful country of Bulgaria to the two parents who were teachers. So in the 90s, it was a very specific and interesting time in the Balkans. So, but it's also time for you to learn to really self-manage yourself and take care of things and do things under budget. So it was an exceptional school on its own to kind of grow in this area in this kind of years. So I was really passionate about finance and mathematics. So I did my bachelor and master degree in finance, moved to Denmark. So that's where I did my master degree. And I was really passionate about storytelling, man. About telling stories and about producing videos. Because before that, I did a acting academy, but it was an amateur acting academy, and we just gathered with the guys. We did a little video together, and it's very interesting how one single event can bring you to a completely different place in life. In my case, I was doing my master degree in finance, but my passion was producing videos, producing movies. So I started organizing film festivals, meeting film producers, meeting professional directors, talking to actors, trying things out. And when I was about to graduate as a master in finance and become a rich Wall Street banker, I decided, you know what? I'm going to go for my passion. I'm going to go for what really makes me happy. And at that time, that was producing videos, producing movies, telling stories. And how do I combine both? And I think this is one of the biggest learnings I had from my time as a master student. It was, you don't have to see yourself as just this one thing. I'm a finance guy because I studied finance. What if I see myself as the package of all the different experiences, networks, passions, strengths that I have, right? And at that time, I was pretty good in storytelling, but I was also really good in organizing events, and I was really good in understanding people, and I understood business and finance. So why not become a movie producer, right? And then I can have an edge into this. So I've been a professional video and movie producer for 5 years, I believe. And then it was another passion of mine that was kind of the core one in my life at this moment, which is similar to yours, which is working with people, empowering people. I'm very fascinated, very passionate about time management, very passionate about productivity, and I'm very passionate about building teams and working with teams, creating caring cultures. And that's kind of the page of my journey, working with teams and supporting teams to build great cultures. I've worked in over 30 countries by now. And last year, thanks Corona, I managed to also publish our first book together with Cristobal Alonso, the CEO of Startup Wise Guys. The book is called Perform, the Unsexy Truth about startup success, including examples of over 50 successful startups, successful founders from the region of New Europe, as we like to call it. So it's really, really exciting. Bunch of projects I'm on at the moment, working with clients, producing a couple of podcasts. It's exciting, man, meeting amazing people like yourself.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, Stoyan. And amazing stuff as well. I love what you do. The following your passion is I think, crucial in a way. I think every kind of day that you're in a place that you don't want to be, personally or professionally, it kind of does chip away at your soul just that little bit more, doesn't it? I think to have the courage, and it is courage, to kind of pursue that, especially in terms of professionally, because absolutely we need to kind of harness vulnerability, but it does take a lot of us as well, doesn't it? It takes a lot of energy to keep on keeping on. And I'm very open about the fact that even though I've been self-employed for going into now, my fifth, sixth year, that I'm still not a natural entrepreneur. There's not one week that goes by where I don't want to press a big red eject button and say, right, get out of here. I want to do something different for somebody else. It's going to be a lot easier. It's not. We've all got different challenges. One of my first mentors was a guy called Brad Burton. And he said that self-employment's great. He said you get to choose what 18 hours a day you work, which I kind of like. You've mentioned a few things. I think I really want to kick off with storytelling. And I think that's the biggest thread of what we both do in different ways is actually storytelling, and narrative has a lot of power, doesn't it? In our personal lives, in our professional lives. As I say, through the kind of the events I run, like Find Your Voice and that kind of stuff, it's your ability to deliver any message with clarity and power and emotion will have an ultimately defining impact on your own success by your own definition of that word successful, very subjective term. But it's true. Our ability to say no to people we want to say no to, or yes to opportunities we want to say yes to, that's a massive impact. And really, that's what storytelling is about. It is absolutely a primal way of delivering legacy, but even on a day-to-day basis, actually, it's about the ability to stand up for ourselves, isn't it? It's more about confidence, courage, and conviction.
It's really interesting. Les Brown, the fantastic motivational speaker, had this line, never make a point without telling a story, and never tell a story without making a point.
Love that. That's cool. You should forget the Les Brown bit. Just take that for yourself. I wouldn't have known any of it. I'll edit that bit out.
No, but I think it's such a good point, right? I mean, it
is.
We are used to telling stories and we relate to stories. I mean, we all have this kind of a teacher when we were kids that said this super inspiring stories that we still remember. Or if some of the people who joined your workshops, your speeches, Nick, maybe 5 years ago, they probably wouldn't remember the exact point you made, but they remember a story that you shared and you were vulnerable. So I think storytelling is something, first of all, anybody can develop and get better at, but it's something that can help you personally, it can help you professionally to deliver a message and to really make an impact.
Absolutely. And I think also when it comes to things like legacy, I was watching yesterday the 20-year anniversary show of the Harry Potter series of movies, and there was an interview with Robbie Coltrane, who plays Hagrid, and he was really emotional when he was talking about this, because he was saying that he himself may have 10-20 years left on this planet, but actually his character will live on. And I think that's the real power, isn't it? The stories create legacy. on the flip side, I think you're absolutely right. And what Les Brown alludes to is that stories are context. When I stand up to deliver a talk around mental health, I need to set the context of not only my experiences, but my specialism. I'm not there to fix anybody. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I purely share lived experience. But the context is huge. Unless I give people the reason why I'm in front of them, telling them something, they're not going to really buy into what's next in that sense. So stories can become our context. And it's when we lose context, that's when governments fall. That's when relationships break up, isn't it? It's the way we need to give people that reason why we are there and what value we are bringing. And again, Simon Sinek covers this really well. Kind of what is your why and establishing your why, but then what's your value and what's your call to action? That's all firmly entrenched in your own story. But if we're struggling with our mental health, then actually our story can be tainted. And our story can be destructive, and it can be kind of circular in that sense, that become a destructive kind of loop. So storytelling is huge, and I'm really glad you picked up on that right from the start.
It's super interesting. My first ever speech was called "Life is like a movie, be the freaking hero." and I was coming from filmmaking, right? Like when we were constructing stories that we want to film afterwards, you always you create characters, and these characters, we put them under stress so that they figure out what is the bigger picture, what is this purpose, what is this huge goal that is unsurmountable at the moment, right? But at some point, hopefully, they might get a chance to achieve it. And it's super interesting that what if we see ourselves as the heroes of our own movies? What if you're the producer? What if you're the director of your own movie? What if you take ownership and say, whatever happens to me, it's because of me. I have a choice. Yes, there's events and circumstances that do not depend on me, but I have the ownership to decide, how do I want to act? Do I want to act as the hero of my movie or as the victim of the movie? And being the hero doesn't mean you're not going to be in doubt. I mean, Nick, you just shared, right? Like there's no day that you're not having doubts.
It's not 1 minute, to be fair, but
but it kind of gives you a perspective, right? I always go back to this metaphor. When I have a really bad day, I'm like, dude, you have a bad day, you have a really bad week. That's fine. Accept it. It's part of the journey. There's nobody out there that's having it all figured out. Nobody. We're just painting these artificial pictures that we have these perfect lives, and entrepreneurs who are watching right now, right, listening and watching these exceptional entrepreneurs like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, and it looks like they have it all figured out. No, these guys have been struggling, and they keep on doing many wrong decisions, and that's fine. That's who we are. We're humans.
Yeah.
So be more self-compassionate in that sense. And I'm really, really up for the hero's journey, right? Like, let's have high goals and let's really kind of, what is it that you want to achieve? Where do you want to be? Okay, let's start from there, building it backwards. But when things don't go by plan, don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on a couple of things there around, I was listening to a podcast by Tony Robbins yesterday about kind of radical forgiveness, that it's those negative emotions that affect your self-esteem, like kind of guilt or regret or that kind of stuff, which can really kind of hold you back. And again, it does come back to storytelling. It's a story we continually kind of tell ourselves. One of my guests coming up this season, an amazing guy who shall remain nameless for now, who is an amazing kind of counselor and therapist, and he does a lot of work around this concept of kind of radical acceptance. Is that without acceptance, it's impossible to kind of move past. And that's a really interesting thing, I think. So to accept things exactly as they are, even if you're in a position that you don't want to be in, even if you're in a place that you don't want to be in, to fully accept that, then it gives us that kind of permission to move on. And it's such I think it's such an amazing concept. It's such a, what I call a BFO, a blinding flash of the obvious, but we need to be told that sometimes, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And on the topic of acceptance, man, I do think there's a fair balance. I mean, on the one side, for the overachievers out there to be more self-compassionate, to be more accepting of themselves, of their mistakes, of the circumstances of when things are not going by the plan that they had in their mind. Because who said this plan?
Yeah.
I mean, who said that you gotta be somewhere, right? Like,
Stoyan, you tell me there's a rule book somewhere that I've missed. I would love to read that book. That'd be great.
And I think there's the other type of people though that actually take this as an excuse, and that you should be very careful not to become complacent, right? I should accept myself. I'm not gonna do something today again. It's like, dude, you haven't done anything for 3 months, and you said you want to be a billionaire. Like, let's talk about it, right? so it's really about, where do you want to be?
Yeah.
Let me give you a story from somebody I met. While I was a video producer, I met this guy who he was the lead designer of a show called Adventure Time. If you have seen it, I think it's on Netflix now. Yeah. It used to be on Cartoon Network, and he was working like crazy. He did a couple of seasons. He was like the rock star, the young guy that everybody wanted to have on board. But instead, he said, you know what, I'm going to retire. He was 30 years old. He bought a forest in Vermont. He built a house on a tree with his wife and his son. He lives there. And he works like 20-hour weeks. He's meditating 2-3 hours in the morning. He's building stuff with his hands. He's having these ghost scout camps in the forest, which he's not making money of. It's just what he loves to do. And we had this conversation, and he was like, I don't understand people. Why are people complaining about stuff? You can do anything you want. This is who am I. I know myself. I don't think everybody wants to live in a forest and build stuff. But look, man, that's me. I love it. I'm aligned. I still work 20 hours on some really good project. I don't want to work more. If I do, I can do it. I can change it. So the thing is, Nick, you're different. I'm different.
Yeah.
It's being an entrepreneur. It's not the one size fits all kind of solution. I mean, some people are just great in building a family, and that's their core focus. So it's really about, who are you? What makes you happy?
I agree. Absolutely. And one of the first stage events that I did, somebody threw me a really kind of strong question that knocked me for six. Is what does happiness mean to you? Whoa, throw me a lighter question. That'd be great. But when I actually thought about it, actually for me, it's peace of mind. After a long time with mental illness, mental health challenges, peace of mind is that equation for me. So trying to do things that align with having a more sound peace of mind. And like you said, success means different things to different people. And especially you being in the kind of world where you're helping people and empowering people. That's important to recognize, isn't it? One person's success is somebody else's something else. It doesn't have to be aligned in that sense. Have you found with learning and living in different parts of the world, have you noticed a difference in kind of humanity and storytelling in that sense, or do you think there's a commonality that runs through everybody?
Oh, what a question, man. I think there's certain, I mean, everybody relates to stories. I'm sure there's certain differences when it comes to cultural heritage. I lived 10 years in Denmark, in the Nordics. And actually, I thought you were leading this question towards kind of the culture and how people see things with success and so on. But I think it's pretty much similar. I think people are, no matter where they are, we're humans and we relate to stories.
Yeah, I think so too. Over lockdown, especially with a more extended reach in the virtual world, kind of working in like South Africa and the US and Australia and lots of different places that I'd never worked before in that sense. That what I found was, from my experience, which I was really keen to hear about yours, is that you're right, the commonality is there, but I think it's the delivery of those stories which is different. So different filters when it comes to what people share and how they share it, and maybe even the levels of passion or aggression that they share that with. I think that's really the only kind of societal differences I've noticed working globally. So that's quite reassuring, I think, that essentially that we are all driven by storytelling, for good or for bad.
Absolutely. And now that you say that, I can clearly see working in different markets, how I should also adjust my storytelling style. Because I tend to come very energetic and passionate, but then when I go and work in the Baltics or in the Nordics, I really need to tune down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think, especially with the vulnerability piece, I think if I share with and I have done very regularly, to a UK audience, for example, that I have like weekly counselling or therapy, then a lot of the reactions are like, "This guy's a freak. He's just told us he goes to therapist every week." Whereas if I say that in the US, and they think, well, so does everybody else, Beardy Boy, get on with it, kind of thing. So this is, like you said, it's the same stories. It's just different deliveries and different filters, I think, for want of a better word. You also mentioned about time management. Now, I would say that's probably up there with delegation and automation as my biggest fears and failures, is time management. For the people kind of tuning into this show today, what would be your best advice on how people can start to get a grasp on their time management if they're in a place where they feel that time is a rare commodity? We all have the same. So how do people do better with that?
There's at almost every workshop I do about time management and productivity is going to be one guy that's going to raise his hand and said, "Stoyan, this time management and planning, it's all good, but I don't have time to plan my time." I wonder why you don't have time to plan your time. Maybe if you put time to plan your time, you might be better in planning and have more time. But the thing is, that'll be my first advice. I think everybody's looking for the app or for the method and for the tool, and I'll give you a couple. But the thing is, you need to prioritize this. You need to prioritize space. We live in a time that there's so much demands, there's so much distractions. Everybody can reach you at any point on your phone, social media, email, knock on your office, whatever. So you gotta create this space. For me, this means 30 minutes every single day. This is the last thing I do before I leave office, in which it's my time for strategic thinking, right? So let me have a look at my day. And I'm assuming the listeners already have long-term goals. They have their objectives in the different areas of their lives. When it comes to business, what are the top 3 objectives for the quarter based on the longer objectives, right? And then what am I doing today? What am I doing tomorrow in order for me to be on track to achieve these goals? And I think it's about living intentionally, always asking yourself this question. Why do I do this thing? What is the final result? What's the final outcome of this activity? Nick, you want to go on a holiday. Okay. What do you want to get out of this holiday? You don't want to go to a holiday. You want to get some certain result, right? Maybe it's to recharge my batteries because you've been traveling like crazy, and right? What is it that you want to get out of this? In anything you do. But you can't do this in your head. You need to do this on paper. You need to do this on a spreadsheet, something that's out of your head. So I recommend people spend 20, 30 minutes a day to reflect on your previous day, to have a look at how much you progressed, to ask yourself, what did you learn? Did you fail to achieve some of the things that you set yourself to? And then what would be the most important results? If I was to have the most productive day, what would be the most important results for me tomorrow? And I do the same thing on a weekly basis, which is a little bit longer. It's an hour, 2 hours. I get a cup of cocoa, right? Like make myself cozy and just try and reflect, man. Like see where we're going.
And do you think that's the foundation stone for productivity? Do you think that then leads into being able to be more productive by default? Or are there other things that people can do on top of that to become more productive?
I do think so. I think this is the core of it, because during those reflections, you not only decide what should I do purely operationally, but what are the kind of habits do I need to change? What are the mindsets do I need to change? So creating a practice in which you have a space to think, analyze, and take a decision on what's best things to do in order for me to improve is definitely the beginning. But then there's a lot of other things, obviously. Nick, you share with me this fantastic practice that you have checking out on your most important areas of your life on a weekly basis.
Yes, yeah.
All right, all these things are working. I mean, for me, energy, taking care of my well-being and my energy, this is number one, man.
Yeah.
And we have a framework in Perform, one framework to make things simple and easy for people who are busy and dynamic, right? Which we call the energy framework. And basically, it's about what are the kind of things that give me energy, the most important things. And energy stands for E is exercise, N is nutrition. The second E is excitement. What's the next letter?
R.
R is relationships. G stands for good sleep, good quality sleep. And Y is you time for yourself.
I like that. That's cool.
I mean, ask yourself, and I ask myself on a weekly basis, how am I doing on these areas? Sleep is a 4 out of 10.
That's then you know where to focus your attention on amplifying and boosting that. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, where's I'm not feeling in my optimal energy state. Why is that? Am I too overwhelmed? Am I not sleeping enough? Do I not exercise and move enough? Where is it coming from? Right? Like you need to assess, and this is the same thing when you're running a company and you're taking care of the culture of the team and the productivity of the team. Where is that coming from? Maybe I was extremely productive as an individual, but I was not productive as a leader. I did not delegate well. I did not explain people what they should do. I did not organize the projects in a way that everybody gets what they need to get. I was not good in coaching and feedbacking people. All right. So as a leader, as a business leader, I don't care if you're an entrepreneur or working for a company, you need to be productive in both areas. Self-productive, and you need to be productive in terms of managing your team. And you have to have space in which you think about those things.
This show is sponsored by Forging People, transformational speaking coaching. Are you truly being heard in life, in business, in education, even at home? Your ability to deliver any message with clarity, power, and emotion will have an ultimately defining impact on your success as a speaker, leader, and influencer. For more information, contact team@forgingpeople.com. Are you truly being heard? It's time to find your voice.
Yeah, absolutely. And how's it been over the past couple of years for you, working through the kind of pandemic and certain times of lockdown? Obviously, as a speaker, as a coach, somebody who's very active and traveling and doing lots of stuff out and about. How easy was it for you to kind of switch to that virtual world? Was it something that you did before as well? Because I didn't do any virtual stuff before, so it was quite a hard lesson to learn. So how did it look in your world? And do you think it has the same positive impact for your clients as well?
I did a little bit of stuff before, but not much. So it's been pretty much learning to do things because there's a difference. There's a huge difference, I think, in leading workshops in person and keeping people engaged, motivated, and focused by leading them online. So it's still an ongoing journey. I would say in the past couple of years, 85% of the things I did were online. Fortunately, last year, there was like a 6-month window in which I just booked myself to anything that was possible to do in person. But I would say that there's a difference. And I can understand from my experience, at least, leading workshops online is a lot more about facilitation as opposed to delivering content and information. So I kind of switch.
Well,
That's right.
I would have loved to be the first one that you did in person last year, because I reckon you would have been kind of ball of energy. That would have been an amazing event to have been at.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Like it's like, give me finally. No, but it's true, man. Energy matters a lot. People are bored of staying on Zoom and WebEx all day long, so you need to give them energy. You need content matters, information matters, but getting people together, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Like getting people to contribute to the discussion, setting up breakout rooms with the specific good instructions for them to really be able to share and to your areas of expertise. I gotta say, I usually do, prior to the pandemic, stuff around time management, productivity, energy, those kind of topics. And I've been requested more and more to do stuff connected to stress management, to well-being, to, everybody in the team is stressed. They've been working for a year and a half from home. Yeah. And that comes with a lot of challenges. So could you come and sort of spread some positive energy, share some tools? And that's what I've been doing a lot more of these days. And I can
absolutely, especially in with the world of leaders and executives that you kind of not exclusively, but you specialize in. That's been tough. Who looks after the people that looks after people? Because it's very easy to carry the burden of your team when you have kind of charge of people, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And to those same leaders, I gotta say, one of the main challenges is they have difficulties understanding when people from their people are not feeling well. Because on Zoom, everybody's trying to pretend it's always fine, right? But I had many executives reach out and saying, Stoyan, I have a challenge to really read my people on Zoom. When they're in the office, I can see something's wrong. Like when they come for a 30-minute meeting on Zoom, I don't know, are they okay? How do I take care of them? How do I create a safe space for them to be able to share that I'm having a really bad day, I'm stressed, I haven't been out, people who have kids, they have to work, but kids are around, right? Distraction. People who are single, they don't have anybody around in the lockdowns, during the lockdown. So it's a whole bunch of different challenges. One very interesting observation from the last few workshops I did on those type of topics is the number one challenge people shared, at least with me, when I made some of those polls of what they struggle with, is inability to unplug after working hours.
It's blurred, isn't it? The lines between everything is just blurred.
Yeah, because they have to work from home. And it's not that they have less to do. Now it's 8 p.m. It's like, oh my God, just one more email. and it's like, all right, but that could be productive in a day-to-day basis, but like long-term, that's not productive at all. That needs to change.
Is Bulgaria still home for you?
It is a home at the moment, yes.
Yeah. So how is the situation in Bulgaria at the moment in terms of are you in any form of lockdown or restrictions or?
It is right now. There's this green certificate kind of so people who are vaccinated can go any places, and people who are not vaccinated or do not have a negative test, they are not allowed to go to restaurants and some of the other kind of places. So they have some restrictions.
Yeah.
But it's fairly, easy, especially for people who are vaccinated.
Yeah.
Get around.
And speaking of Bulgarian, you promised me the correct pronunciation of your name. To anybody else that isn't from Bulgaria, over to you.
Over to me. Аз се казвам Stoyan Yankov.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with mine, if that's all right.
I told you, man.
Thank you. Wow, that's cool. That sounds really cool. That's a cool name. Kind of like a James Bond character.
Yeah, Yankov. Stoyan.
Yeah. That's cool. Nice. You've got the mannerisms to carry it off as well, which is even better. Right. Away from work and away from professional life, what do you do to recharge? What to kind of motivate yourself? Are you into any kind of sports or hobbies or pastimes, or what do you love to do?
Last few weeks, man, I discovered squash.
Okay, yep.
I haven't done it before. Like I've done some table tennis and a little bit of tennis, but a friend of mine invited me once to give it, and I thought it's just about beating a ball on the wall, but apparently there's rules, right? So it's actually it's amazing, man. I realized for myself that I'm a lot more likely to exercise when there's some sort of a game element. So squash is a great way to kind of have a game, competitive element, but at the same time, it really, you have to run a lot. It's
fast game, isn't it?
it is
Really fast game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I mean, I like to meditate. When I do meditate, I feel so much better. I usually do it 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, and I'm using the Vipassana technique. If you've been,
Now,
if
what's
you're aware
that?
about,
Tell us about that.
all right. So Vipassana, first of all, is it's globally available right now, but it's maybe you have heard about these 10-day silent meditation retreats. So basically, that's amazing, man. You're gonna love that. Probably not the experience, but but the outcome. So basically, what you do is you get into this 10-day silent meditation retreat. You get there, you give your books, you give your phone, everything. You're not allowed to speak. You're not allowed to read. You're not allowed to write. You're not allowed to touch anybody or look anybody in their eyes. You're by yourself. And
Wow.
and there's this kind of a program. So basically, you're listening to audio tapes of this wise, guy from Burma, and it's 10, 11 hours of meditation a day with some pauses, and that's it. You eat twice a day, and you stay there for 10 days. And in the evening, there is like a video debrief. It was really interesting because you have no stimulation, zero, right? Like I was so excited to go outside, and I'm looking at how a bee is trying to extract something from a flower, and it's like, oh my god, this is so exciting because nothing happens, right? And I still remember, like in the evenings, we had this half an hour video where the guy is explaining why did you do this meditation, the technique, blah blah blah. I was dressing differently, man. I would dress myself. All right, let's go to the movies, man. so it's just trying to survive, right? But the point is, it's this really amazing meditation technique where, and it's really hard to explain something that they explain for 10 days, but where you're scanning through your body and you're trying to search for the type of sensations you feel in the different parts of your body.
Wow.
And how, like, if there's an emotion or a thought that comes in your direction, you try and search where in my body there's a reflection with a sensation that is connected to this emotion. And the technique is to observe this thing without getting attached to it, without judging it, without giving it a name. And you become better and better into observing your emotions. How do they reflect into you? And how do we observe them without getting attached so you can remain in pure balance? And I got to tell you, at the end of these 10 days, man, I've never been so peaceful, so focused, so like nothing can get me, man. Like something bad happens, 1 second I'm back on my balance, like nothing. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I keep on doing this, not as often as I want. It's a very pure meditation technique with no music, no specific breathing, like just scanning, observing your body. And when there is an emotion or a thought coming to your mind, you observe it without getting attached to it. It is amazing. I highly recommend it. And they made a whole kind of a system where donation-based system where if you decide to sign up for a course, and they have it all around the world, you can just sign up. And if you like it, you can donate as much money as you want for the next people that will come.
Yeah.
And people like it, so they donate money and and keep. That's amazing. You gotta give it a try.
That's huge. I mean, before you, I mean, I'm assuming that you've been meditating for quite a while to reach that stage where you want to go and do that stuff. Have you always found it kind of easy to meditate right from the start, or did you have a real kind of firefighting mind and you had to really train hard to meditate?
I just want to say most people think that never got into meditation. They think this is like, I can't do meditation. But I think that's wrong approach to it. If I have not been meditating for a while, I can feel how my mind is super distracted all around the place. But that's fine. I just want to remind people that's perfectly fine. If your mind is all around the place, especially at the beginning, perfect. You're doing it right. What you got to do is to just observe and slowly get better. And when your mind start wandering around, you kindly, gently say, all right, negative thought, positive thought, let me get back to my breathing or whatever meditation technique you're using. So I would say, even now, if I don't do it for a number of days, I'm already over on the place. but just like in the gym, man, I think it's mental gym, right? Like you go to the gym, even if I'm really good at it, if I don't go for 2 months, it's gonna take a while before I get back in shape. But I highly recommend anybody to give it a try. Try some simple technique. There's a lot of very good apps with guided meditation, which is way easier and more pleasant, I would say. To do. And
great, thank you very much, Stoyan.
Amazing, man.
Such great insight. Genuinely, I could talk to you for a long time. But for the sake of the listeners and the watchers, we'll just get you back for another episode. I think it's probably the easiest way to do this. Be the longest show ever otherwise. So, like I ask every guest that comes on the show, and this will form part of the playlist that will happen at the end of the season. I'm now going to set the scene for you. I'm now the MC of the O2 Arena in London. 20,000 people have paid their hard-earned money to come and hear you do your thing. You're kicking back in the green room with your feet up, having a drink, and you hear your walk-on music kick in. That song that motivates you, that lifts you, that gets you at peak state, the one that I call you on to. Stoyan, what would your walk-on music track be and why?
On this track, AC/DC, man.
Tune. Great tune.
That's it, man. I mean, this thing is just getting me, man. Like when I hear this thing, I'm all in, man. I'm the best version of Stoyan is out there, man. Like it just has this incredible effect. And I don't know if that's because of some certain kind of experiences that I had in the past, or just, but that's gonna be the tune, brother.
And what a way to kick off the season. Generally, Stoyan Yankov, amazing guest to have on to kick off the season 4. Big round of applause.
Thank you so much, Nick. What a pleasure being with you, brother.
Top man. Thank you so much for donating your busy time to come on the show. We'll be definitely having you back. So again, thank you so much. And if you want to reach out to Stoyan, connect and like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff, all of his links will be in the bio. And I strongly suggest you do. One of life's good guys. And that's it for episode 1. So next week, we have another amazing guest. We have a guest talking about HR and pronouns and lots of other things that, to be quite frank, I don't even understand. So that's what this show is about, is getting people on from different walks of life, different experiences and specialisms, and really taking apart their worlds so that we get to know more about the world generally, personally and professionally. That's what we're looking at for season 4. So again, thanks again to Stoyan. Stay tuned, hit like and subscribe and follow and all that stuff. And I will see you again next Monday. In the meantime, take care, be happy and stay well. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.
Guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Do hit the like button and subscribe to stay tuned for future episodes. Published every Monday and available through YouTube or the podcast platform of your choice. See you next week.